Good morning. It's Monday morning, April 13th, and I wanted to share a teaching that I actually shared Friday night during services, but it's an idea which has really stuck with me since then, and I thought it might be worth putting here in case some people weren't able to join us for services then. And it's a teaching around the song Dayeinu. Dayeinu is, of course, one of the most beloved parts of the Passover Seder, and it's a song that we sing, and each stanza says, if God had done this, Dayeinu, it would have been enough for us. And the full text that we don't usually sing is actually, if God had only done this for us, but had not then done this next step, Dayeinu, it would have been enough. So we're told that if God had taken us out of Egypt, but had not led us safely through the desert, Dayeinu, that would have been enough. If God had brought us to the desert but not given us manna to eat, Dayeinu, that would have been enough. If God had taken us out of Egypt and not brought us to the Holy Land, Dayeinu, that would have been enough. And at some point along the way, I remember thinking to myself, really? Would that really be enough, Dayeinu? Would that be sufficient? I mean, if God had taken us out of Egypt but had not split the Red Sea so we could cross, we would have died at Pharaoh's hand, and not really Dayeinu. That wouldn't seem like enough. If God had led us into the desert, but not sustained us with manna for the 40 years, I don't feel like that would have really been sufficient to be worth a song that we sing for thousands of years. I mean, if nothing else, we wouldn't be here to sing that song. So it seems a little silly to say that would have been enough. You have to get to the end of the story for it to mean anything, right? If God had done half of the miracles and half of the wonders and gotten us halfway through the story, there would be no Jewish people, there'd be no Passover Seder, and there would be no one here to say Dayeinu. So I never really understood what it means to say, if God had done only this but not this, Dayeinu. And someone somewhere along the line pointed out that it's a song, it's an idea that's maybe not meant to be taken literally, but rather it's meant to get us to focus on the miracle of the moment. When these things were happening, when we were getting these miracles, each one could have, hopefully did give us a sense of Dayeinu. We didn't know what was going to come next. We didn't know how the story was going to end. But in that moment, we could feel totally taken care of. We could take at least a moment and not want or need anything other than what we were getting in that moment. And I think it's pretty obvious how this relates to this moment that we're in. We are in the middle of this story, and we don't know how it's going to end. We don't know if we're going to all go back to regular lives in a couple of weeks. We don't know if we're going to go back to an incredibly modified life in a couple of months. We don't know if it might last longer than that. We don't know who among us is actually going to get sick, and God forbid who's going to die. There's a lot of unknowns. And it wouldn't feel completely right to say that we don't need any of that. That just right now is all that we need. But in the moment, we can say that. When something good happens, we can stop and just say, this moment is good enough right now, Dayeinu. Not logically. Of course we want more than that. Of course we need more than that. But in that moment, we don't. When we walk outside and it's a beautiful day, and the birds are chirping and the breeze is blowing, we can stop and say Dayeinu. That's good enough. I don't need in that moment to have the quarantine end right now. I don't need in that moment to have everything go back to normal. If you told me that all I'm getting is that moment, maybe I wouldn't be so satisfied, but I don't know what's going to happen. So in that moment, I can honestly say, Dayeinu, this moment is enough for me in this moment. When I'm having a delicious meal with my family, of course, in a perfect world, if I was in charge of everything and I could decide, I'd love to be able to go out to a restaurant or have dinner with friends as well as my family. But right then, when I'm having delicious food with three of the people I love most in the world, the three people I love most in the world, I can honestly say with a full heart, Dayeinu, that's enough. That's all that I need in those moments. Dayeinu isn't a logical sense of not needing things to work out perfectly. Dayeinu is just an acknowledgement, it's just an expression of appreciating this moment, of being fully committed to experiencing this moment and having it be enough. So I hope we get the whole selfish pack of miracles. I hope that a week from now they discover a perfect vaccine and everyone's healthy and everyone goes back to work and the economy rebounds and the synagogues are full and the malls are full and all of that. But we just don't know if that's going to happen. So instead, for today and tomorrow and the day after, however many days it takes, I'm going to try and find those moments where, for just a moment, everything is perfect. And I'm just going to say, Dayeinu. I hope we all have these moments where we can really, with a whole heart, say Dayeinu and know that this moment is, at least for this moment, enough. A Chag Sameach, Moedim B'Simcha, a beautiful rest of the Pesach for everyone, and I hope to see you all in person soon.